All right, this is kind of a double-header episode here. We got NFL draft. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know where to start with this draft. This is a kind of infamously weak draft class, I feel like.
I believe so.
Although draft night, did have its fair share of surprises.
It's always exciting.
Yeah, it was a very exciting draft, and I mean, Kansas City really popped out and did an amazing job with it. Don't know how Detroit's going to replicate that next season.
Oh, we're going to... hopefully it's not snowing.
We might be.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We might be there, honestly.
I mean, we probably will
we'll
be there.
Live from movie.
But where the hell are they going to do it, bro? There was like 350,000 people at the draft in Kansas
Probably
City.
do it right on Woodward Avenue.
Do it on fucking Belle Isle or fucking at the Fox
Adam
Theater?
Boyan should give the pick for the Lions. I'm just kidding.
I don't even know, bro. I don't know how Detroit's going to handle it, but that's next year's problem. We'll be here to deliver that next year with you guys, but... Man, so I mean the top 1 and 2 were kind of no surprise to anybody.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Two
Bryce
QBs.
Young. Yeah, two QBs. Bryce Young to the Panthers and CJ Stroud to the Texans. What to you guys was the biggest move of the draft? Like who?
I mean the Texans
The
trading up
I
to
mean,
3.
you gotta say that's the biggest.
Texans trading up to 3. I thought the Texans had a home run of a draft. Can we pull up their shit? Where are they at?
They're gonna be way the fuck down.
Oh, good. Oh, thank the Lord. Houston. Yeah, because I really like what they did. They traded up and they got an edge rusher for the future in Will Anderson, who's going to be an all-pro. He's going to be a stud. I mean, this guy, he's like Von Miller-esque. I mean, he is in my estimation the best defensive player in this draft, and the Texans just scooped him up right there at 3. And they pair that with their QB of the future, C.J. Stroud. So, and I mean, able to get a couple offensive linemen there too. It looks like a couple centers.
2 centers. It's kind of weird to me, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. They got the guys.
Got a couple of guys on defense too, and Nathaniel Dell too, a big time, a guy who was flying up the draft boards as of late too.
He was kind of their sleeper of this draft. I feel like Tank Dell in the 3rd round. That's a great pick. He's going to be an amazing weapon for CJ in that offense for sure. Especially with John Mechie coming back this next season. So I mean, don't overlook this team. I still think their defense is going to be a couple years away, obviously.
Yeah, definitely.
But
I think this team as a whole is a couple years away, but this is like monumental steps in the right direction. This is like huge for them.
D'Amico Ryans is going to have a far better roster than he inherited. Let's just say that. So I definitely feel pretty good about the Texans' future here.
Feel a lot better about it, that's for sure.
Yeah,
gotta give them some premium weapons, but I mean they did pick up Dalton Schultz. I think that was a really good pickup this offseason.
Do they still have their running back? What's the dude from
Florida?
Pearson. He was a rookie last year.
He had a great year.
He played really well.
That offense is going to look pretty good. I'm telling you, man. They'll have.
I mean, I don't know how good their O-line is.
No,
I don't think
it's going to be poverty, but they got Juice Scruggs from my guy from Penn State too. So
he's a good
I mean, he was a good center. I mean,
they're going to have some good weapons, but they just got to be able to protect them. Obviously, I mean, they got some decent receivers, good running back, good tight end, good quarterback now. So I mean,
we'll see if they can do what Jacksonville did.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be interesting.
Around.
I think we should stay in the division. Honestly, talking about the Colts here.
Yeah, bro.
Anthony Richardson
get AR-15. I mean, that was kind of a.
It's the ultimate boomer bust pick. But I mean, just if you're picking between Levis and AR, I feel like he's got to go for the highest upside with him.
Yeah, that's why they made that pick for sure.
I mean, just seeing the interview, I just feel like he just seemed like a high character kid, like seeming like he's gonna embrace. I mean, potentially not starting right away. I mean, in my opinion, so. I mean, just developing under whatever Shane Steichen has in store for him. But I really like Josh Downs. I think that was a really good pickup in the 3rd. I mean, he's speedy receiver out of UNC. I mean, he was really good since his freshman year. I mean, I think that was a really underrated pickup. I think also Julius Brents wasn't bad at K-State. But I think I don't know how to say this dude's name from Northwestern.
Adebawore,
but he was a D tackle, but really athletic. But I feel like the headliner of this class is just a very athletic draft class. I mean, I feel like I saw one of the grades for like just how athletic these draft classes were by like these metrics, and the Colts were in the top 3. So I
don't think the Colts are that far away, really.
No.
I think if they can get some consistent QB play, it's going to be interesting. I think we were kind of talking, Ryan, is Gardner Minshew going to start? You were kind of thinking maybe that was the case.
I said like initially, but I feel like as the season progresses, I feel like they're going to incorporate AR in some way. I don't know,
like runs or like just
probably something like that. Any snaps for him, I feel like
that'd be interesting for sure. I think any experience for him would be positive for like his development and whatnot. But yeah, I mean they get another receiver to pair with Paris Campbell and Michael Pittman too.
There's a lot of banking on this draft class for Chris Ballard's job. So
it's a gamble. I mean, taking Anthony Richardson over Will Levis, he's got a sky-high ceiling, but in my opinion, I think he has a lower floor. So it's kind of, drafting on upside. Ultimately, I think they made the right pick considering.
And I mean, Will Levis he slipped in this draft.
Considering the slip.
Titans,
Which I think should be our next topic. I think we should just do it by division, personally. But I mean, I don't know. I like the A-Rich pick with the Colts. I know, obviously, being there with you, watching it, you were kind of skeptical, a little bit pissed off at first.
I think when I started seeing the more highlights, highlights are a grain of salt to me. I mean, I feel like that doesn't say the whole story.
It doesn't.
Some of the plays were jaw dropping. I mean, that this dude made. I mean, throw on the run. I mean,
against Utah.
The Utah game.
I mean, you can see he's got a very live arm. I mean, he can throw on the run. So I mean, I feel like with the Colts, what they're gonna do with their new head coach, who's developed Jalen Hurts, I feel like it's just the prototype of what they're gonna run.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a good. I think they had a pretty good draft there. Josh Downs, as you mentioned, he's a good weapon that. I kind of had my eyes on.
And the Colts need receivers. I mean, Paris Campbell went to the Giants this offseason, and they invested a second into him a few years ago. So, I mean, just getting any sort of receiver help with Pittman. I mean, just getting any sort of consistency there.
Yeah. I think Downs will bring him that consistency.
For sure. I think we got to go with the Titans next. I mean, this is a team that really, they scooped up Will Levis when just when you thought, he was slipping. Was he going to slip any further? He didn't. Made it to the second pick of the second round where they, ultimately scooped him up.
A win-win situation with Levis falling. So.
Now, what's the situation for Will Levis week 1? What do you think's going to happen? Is he going to how long is he going to sit? Because I'm curious about this.
I think Tannehill starts considerably still. I mean, it all just depends on what he does in training camp and whatnot. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I saw him as. I think Vrabel said he's QB3 right now, so he has to earn it. So, I mean, I don't think he'll have a problem leaping Willis, but...
I don't know if I don't know. I feel like Will Levis would have been a better pick for a team like the Washington Commanders, who desperately need a starting quarterback. I feel like wasting your, second pick of the second round on a third-string quarterback is a little bit...
And are they still trading Derrick Henry? I feel like there's
that's what I was going to ask.
Some progress in that deal. I mean, there was a little Eagles rumor, I feel like, for a day or two. So they got Swift. So, I mean,
they're just getting everybody.
Irrelevant. So, I mean, Skoronski was up there. I mean, I saw Skoronski as high as 9 to the Bears.
That's a good pick for them.
That is a very good pick.
I'm saying, not the sexy pick, but he was a very good since his freshman year at Northwestern.
They needed some help on the O-line as well, too.
I mean, Northwestern's produced a couple good first-round offensive tackles these past couple years.
They have, but they've won 2 games in the last 3 years. So
development, you
suck. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think what Will Levis pick, it's going to be boom or bust. I mean, like you said, they had Malik Willis on the bench. I don't know what his future is. I don't know if his career is just not that good or what. Yeah, but I think
they're not very
Will
high.
Levis has a chance to come to play right away. I think here in this situation maybe.
Just depends on how Tannehill performs. I mean, if he's going to continue,
he's getting paid that money too.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, they're going to play who they're paying the big bucks to, but
100%.
Regardless, I mean, I don't really have very many thoughts beyond that. We'll move on to the Jacksonville Jaguars, also in that division. Took a stud offensive tackle here in the first round. Anton Harrison helped protect Trevor Lawrence. I love it. I think that's a great pick for them.
I mean, I feel like his rookie year, the stigma was he's got sacked too much. I mean, T-Law's definitely unlocked a new level, and he's progressed considerably since his rookie year, I'd say.
That's crazy.
And I feel like this Jags team is destined to probably going back-to-back in this division.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're really looking at it, so...
I mean... Looking at this draft class, I think this is kind of one of the more underrated
Tank
hauls.
Bigsby, so they got Bigsby.
They got Parker Washington in the 6th round.
That's a very good.
I really like this Brenton Strange pickup. The tight end out of Penn State, he was a beast for them, for Sean Clifford in that offense.
They got some hidden gems here in Jacksonville, and this is a team that just won the division.
I like Doug Peterson as a coach too. I mean, he's got that championship pedigree. I mean, with winning that one title with Carson Wentz. So I mean. Mm-hmm. It's really just a great situation for T-Law. I mean, I think T-Law is really going to break out next year and be one of the top quarterbacks in the league, probably top 10 next year. So, I mean,
I mean,
Calvin Ridley's back next year. People forget. I mean, you're off the gambling suspension, so.
Oh, how about that? He will be back in that offense.
Yeah, I mean, Jacksonville, they got a haul here. A ton of guys.
Got so many
got
players.
Don't they have Evan Ingram? They still have Evan Ingram, right?
Yeah.
So
they got two really good tight ends.
So they got Brenton Strange with him.
Evan Ingram. I mean, they got a lot of guys.
They got a good running game too. So.
I mean, yeah, they got this running back room too.
They got rid of James Robinson's not on their roster anymore.
No,
so
they
got Travis
Etienne. So it's just Etienne and him now.
He's a stud though. I mean, I feel pretty good about this Jags haul. I honestly hadn't even seen it all until right now, and it's looking pretty nice. So, I think we'll stay within the AFC here and move over to the AFC. What is this? The AFC East or no? Yeah, the Colts play in the East, or not the Colts.
AFC South is the Colts.
Yeah, I meant the Chiefs. The Chiefs. I mean, Super Bowl champs here, obviously host city of the draft. I don't know. I mean, they didn't really kind of have that draft that we were expecting. We were expecting a weapon at 31, like they always do, and they didn't do that. They went defensive end here. I mean,
a team that needed, a couple years ago needed defense. I mean, I feel like they're just building on what they did, and they got Karlaftis last year. I mean, at this pretty much the same pick. So, I mean, I think they're just adding on to the defense, adding on to what potentially is another year back in the playoffs for sure next year.
I mean, they're probably going to be in the Super Bowl next year, so they'll be fine.
They play in the AFC West because they play with the Broncos in them. That's my fault. I don't know. I mean, not really much to note on this draft. Obviously, Super Bowl champs, they didn't really need much in the first place. So
they're going to be okay.
Speaking of Denver, we'll move over to them.
Yeah, I think Denver had an interesting draft. I mean, they didn't have a first-round pick, obviously. I mean, they were able to get Marvin Mims, another weapon. I don't really love this draft. I think they
had like no picks. Hold up.
Yeah, I mean, they traded.
Like, I was wondering that when I was like doing my like Madden rebuild the other day. I was like, I feel like the Broncos had like no picks. I didn't see like
they sold all their picks for Russell Wilson.
I like Drew Sanders in the third round. That's a nice quality running back in the third round, or not running back, linebacker.
And Marvin Mims was pretty solid, like you said, was pretty solid at Oklahoma.
And they got the interception god Riley Moss.
But doesn't this team
they did have the first?
Doesn't this team still have like Judy Hamler, Tim Patrick, like? Already has weapons.
They just picked up Jerry Judy's fifth year option today, so that's good. Shout out Jerry Judy. But another weapon for Russ and those guys. Is their O-line poverty?
Their whole team's ass.
I'm honestly surprised this was the job that Sean Payton took. I mean,
they got Sean Payton.
Obviously, they probably gave him a considerable amount of money to.
Did they have to trade picks for Sean Payton too?
Yeah, didn't they trade?
That's where all their picks went. That's where their picks went.
Well, you're looking at their draft capital here with
was
Sean
it a first round pick for Sean Payton or something like that?
I think so.
That's ridiculous. That's a fleecing for a head coach.
That's insane.
That's crazy to me.
Yikes.
This is another team that, there's not really much to talk about here. We'll talk about the Raiders next.
They had an interesting
good
draft.
draft.
I mean, they were able to get Tyree Wilson with the 7th pick in the draft. So
some people thought was the best defensive lineman in this class. I mean, really showing like elite athleticism at Texas Tech.
Yeah, and then they also got Byron Young too, another defensive tackle here out of Alabama too. So they're really
Michael Mayer was one of the better tight ends in the country too.
He'll be a good replacement for Darren Waller, but I mean they're kind of building from the trenches out right now, getting a good replacement tight end in Matt Mayer, and I mean get Chris Smith and a safety from Georgia. That guy can play too, and. I think they had a solid draft, in my estimation.
I mean, they kind of scooped up Michael Mayer. A lot of people had him as their number one tight end on their draft boards here in the Lions.
And Kincaid went the first tight end on the board. I mean, to the Bills, but
and then obviously the Lions selected Sam Laporta, the pick before this. So I feel like they were pretty happy with him sliding right into their laps right there.
I mean, fresh off a Waller trade. I mean, one of the better tight ends going to the Giants. I mean.
Look for our guy AOC down there, Aiden O'Connell from Purdue too. He could also look as a guy that could maybe play right away too with the QB position.
Yeah, if Jimmy Garoppolo fucks up for sure.
I thought they were like the team that was primed to trade up in this draft. I mean, maybe they're holding out for the Caleb Williams sweepstakes, which is probably what's happening. So, but I mean.
Holding out for Drake
draft. I mean, McDaniels definitely didn't have the good first year that people were hoping for. I mean, being the coveted guy, like
they didn't have a great team. They were kind of shitty.
Yeah,
but it is what it is. They're looking to the future.
Yeah. With that being said, I feel like we got to go to obviously the last team in this division, the Chargers. They made a big splash. Got a Chargers guy here, Quentin Johnston. He looks like identical to Mike Williams and Keenan Allen here for Justin Herbert. And I don't know. It's going to be very interesting here. See what his impact is.
They got Max Duggan in the 7th round.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, so Duggan and Quentin Johnson are teaming back up here, it looks like.
Yeah.
So that's shout out them. Actually, no, fuck them. But yeah, I mean, this was just they didn't have a ton of picks either. So
I mean, Herbo's gonna have a lot of wide receivers to throw to. I mean, I feel like this is a team that you've just seen like make the playoffs, win 9, 10, probably 11 wins, but they haven't really taken that next step yet. And I don't think Herbo's taken that next step yet. But I mean, with all these plethora of receivers, it could be next year.
If they can just stay healthy, I think they can be one of the best teams in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
I do like this pick, this Quentin Johnson pick, considering the injury-prone receivers that Herbo's throwing the ball to. So this is kind of his guy. I like the pick of the dude they got from USC as well. He's very athletic. I just think they're just really, building on just already a playoff roster. I mean, with win now moves. I mean, a lot of upside. So for sure, that's a good draft for them. No further comments.
Yeah, definitely not just it is what it is.
We'll move over to the AFC East here. The New England Patriots scoop up Christian Gonzalez after he pretty much just slid right into their laps.
This is a very
we thought this was a guy that'd be on the
draft.
Lions' radar. I feel like for a little bit. So
we thought this guy was a pretty much surefire top 10 guy, and he ended up sliding. Big get for the Patriots.
Keon White was a high riser from Georgia Tech, the defensive end. I feel like just the Patriots, they really like their edge rushers and like just dudes off the edge. I mean, Amir Speed
and Bryce Behringer.
The steal of the draft is Bryce Behringer.
He'll probably be the starting punter.
That's a very.
He probably will be.
Keyshawn Butte as well. That's kind of a name that nobody really heard much.
I thought wasn't he the dude that sat out at LSU to be like a second pick, and then he fell all the way here. I mean,
6th round.
Exactly. That's why.
That's why it's always hard to gamble on something like that because I mean, there's dudes that will play. I mean, there are dudes that will improve over the year and really leap you. So.
I mean, this guy could end up being an absolute stud. I mean, who knows? Well, I guess we'll see. He's in a good system to do it in. We'll move over to Miami. They had their 1st-round pick taken away with the tampering for Tom Brady, I believe.
Is that real?
Yeah, something like that. They had like no draft picks.
Jesus. Ryan Hayes, though. Shout out Ryan Hayes.
I've literally known nobody notable other than Ryan Hayes.
And Devon A-Chain, but he sucks.
Right.
I mean, he doesn't
Cam
suck.
Smith.
He's a 3rd-round pick.
I mean, getting Cam Smith with Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard, they're going to have a really good secondary next year, all the weapons. I mean, I feel like they're just fully bought in on, a run next year, barring Tua's play.
Where are they at? Here they are, the Buffalo Bills. Dalton Kincaid in the 1st round. Pair him with Dawson Knox. That's going to be a deadly combo at tight end here for Josh Allen to throw to.
That dude's familiar. The Justin Shorter dude, wasn't he at Penn State and then he transferred to Florida? So I mean, they got him in the seemingly 5th round. So
yeah,
it's interesting. I forgot about that.
Josh Allen gets another weapon with Kincaid. I mean, they get some more help in their O-line.
I'm interested to see what they do, how they incorporate Kincaid with Dawson Knox and weapons. I mean, I feel like the run game still has a lot of question marks.
Definitely.
Behind
I feel like
I mean,
that's what they should have spent on here.
Hey,
their starting running back's probably Singletary's not on the squad, so probably Cook, right?
They're trading for Derrick Henry.
Potentially. I feel like that could be a team that would definitely be on the radar.
They are.
It will happen.
Speaking into existence, hopefully.
New York Jets here. This is a team. Everyone was kind of scratching their head on this Will McDonald pick when they
Jets.
They could have drafted a weapon for Aaron Rodgers, which was pretty much just been his pleading cry to the organization of the Green Bay Packers to do ever since he's stepped foot in Green Bay, which they've just refused to do, and the Jets refused to do it here. So
I mean,
I feel like just a couple offensive linemen are notable. I feel like they're gonna protect Aaron Rodgers as much as they can. I know they got Elijah Vera Tucker and Malik Becton out of the 1st round a couple years, so they seem really invested in, what they're building up front. So that's really like the headline of this. I mean, Will McDonald was a guy that some people probably didn't expect to go this high. Like they said, I felt like every mock, I feel like he was a late 1st guy, but
I heard a lot of criticism of that pick for the Jets.
100%.
Mostly criticism. I don't know. I mean,
it's really hard to really criticize someone that's not even stepped on the field yet.
Right.
So I feel like all this talk is premature.
Exactly.
So at the end of the day, I feel like these front offices know something more than these mock draft nerds.
For sure.
Exactly. They know more than
Move over to the AFC East. Pittsburgh Steelers get Broderick Jones here. Protect Kenny Pickett. This obviously, we got a friend, Ralph. He's a big Steelers fan. Wasn't very happy with this pick. Maybe wanted I don't remember what he wanted.
I know he was happy with the second pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Porter,
I wish my Lions would have scooped him up, but unfortunately they didn't.
His dad draft a corner? Hey, it's a family thing. His dad played for the Steelers.
Oh, I forgot. The NFL is a family business.
Yeah, Joey Porter Jr. going, pick 1 of the second round is huge.
And Darnell falling to the 3rd round because of an alleged knee problem. I mean, one of the best blocking tight ends. I mean, putting him with Freiermuth, I feel like that's a very good 2 tight end system.
That's going to be nasty as hell.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Pickett's got the weapons. I mean, they invested. Then they get Allen Robinson this offseason. They got Hunter Renfrow.
They can get the dust off that guy. That dude hasn't caught a pass in years.
Yeah, they got a pretty good offense brewing here, man. It's going to be interesting to see what Kenny Pickett can do.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess.
Who else is in their damn division, bro? Ravens, where are they at? Ball.
The Ravens re-signed Lamar Jackson, by the way.
Yeah, that's the big news. That was the big news.
For highest paid contract in the league right now.
Yep.
I think it was 185 mil.
He's making more money than Jalen.
Mm-hmm. So I mean,
all until Joe's extension.
Really, what highlights this class? I mean, with signing Odell, getting Zay Flowers. I mean, with Rashad Bateman and the weapons that they already have. So.
Did you see AB or Antonio Brown was going to re-sign or sign with the Ravens?
That's all smoke.
That dude needs to go to rehab.
It's so funny, dude.
Zay Flowers is their notable
they got a slot receiver in Zay Flowers, so that's
Trent
good to
Simpson was a good pick. I mean, he was a guy that was getting a lot of first-round love as well. So, I mean, I feel like it's a team that, I mean, you've seen them in the playoffs. You haven't seen the leap yet, and that's what Lamar was skeptical about. But, I mean, getting the wide receivers was really the main complaints that Ravens fans were having these past couple of years. So, I mean, Zay Flowers, I mean, though small, one of the fastest guys in this class. I mean, he balled out at Boston College under their coach there. So,
I mean, that just gives Lamar another weapon to throw to. I mean, he's still going to have
and Mark Andrews being one of the best tight ends in the league for sure. So, I mean.
Bengals scooped up some dudes, too, man. Miles Murphy. Late in the first round. This was kind of a surprise.
Chase Brown.
Miles Murphy was a guy that, I mean, I feel like pre-draft, you saw a lot, very weird, where he was going to go. I mean, you've seen him at 7, potentially in mock drafts. You've seen him, go far.
That's good value.
So, I mean, I feel like it's good value for, where they got him. They got a guy, Jordan Battle from Alabama. I thought
they definitely.
He was going to go in the second. I mean, I saw him pretty high as well.
Yeah,
so
they got a lot of secondary help. Take 2 corners and a safety.
And I mean they Turner. I was surprised to see Turner go this high, but I mean that 40 time definitely leaped him. I was gonna say that 40 time.
A lot of teams like that 40 time, and I mean they got the GOAT Brad Robbins too, so they're probably
Jones.
Yeah, they're probably gonna win the Super Bowl.
I heard people say that Charlie Jones pick was a steal.
He's just gonna be a Hunter Renfrow type dude,
it's just a solid 2 or 3.
Yeah, definitely. He's just gonna be that type of dude for his entire career. That's just how
the best running back in the Big Ten, Chase Brown. I'm just kidding. He got selected from Illinois, but that was just funny.
Was it?
Illinois fans.
I'm just kidding.
Cleveland Browns get Cedric Tillman. Dude, they didn't pick until the third damn round.
We won't talk about that.
I mean, they're too busy.
They got DTR.
They're too busy giving guaranteed contracts out of dudes for out of the league for a couple years. So.
Cedric Tillman's not a bad pick, but
definitely
shit.
Not. Dorian Thompson Robinson.
DeJuan Jones too.
DTR.
He got ran all over.
Yeah, nothing notable from them. That's the end of the AFC. We can move over to the NFC. We'll do that. What is this? That NFC West here with the Arizona Cardinals. Pretty much made a pretty big move to trade back and get Kyler Murray some help.
Which was the correct move. I mean, 100%. Their offensive line needed some juice. So I mean, Paris Johnson was a high riser. I mean, balled out since freshman year at Ohio State. Was a 5-star prospect out of high school. So I mean, it's nothing new there. I think the Ojulari pickup. His brother plays for the Giants, but he balled out at LSU as well.
BJ. Yeah, I
See if
mean,
there's any other notes.
I feel like Kytrell Clark was the name that I heard on some people's draft boards as a corner, but I feel like he slipped pretty far. I feel like that could be some good value.
And I'm just curious to know, like, with their new coach and everything, next year is not. I'm curious to just know where they're gonna place next year, because I don't think it's a team that's projected in a lot of places to be really bad, and to potentially be up for the another top 5 pick next year. So
this is going into the next team in their division here. This is a team that
I think these are the
people are
this might be the winner.
This is the winner of the draft right here.
That is the Seattle Seahawks here, man. Devin Witherspoon with the 5th pick and Jackson Smith and Jigba with the 20th.
Shout out Kaname Senju, the Seahawks fan.
It's
Witherspoon was a guy we thought Detroit was very interested in at 6. So really just getting him with Tyreek Woolen. That's just going to be a nasty cornerback 1, quarterback 2 duo. Getting the Legion of Boom potentially back. Quandre Diggs still back in the safety room. So
that kid played at Muskegon. Anthony Bradford.
It's Jackson Smith and Jigba too.
Tyler Lockett and DK. So amazing there. I think this is a team
Kenny McIntosh
that needed some pass rush, some defensive line help. So Derek Hall is a guy that could play on the outside, could play linebacker as well.
They got Olu and Mike.
A really interesting pickup that really threw me. The Charbonnet pickup kind of threw me off a little bit.
Well,
but they don't have Rashad Penny. They don't have Rashad Penny anymore.
They drafted 2 running backs in this draft. Kenny McIntosh in the 7th round.
They want to run the wishbone, I think.
I don't know what the hell they got planned here, but Dan Snyder? Doesn't he know he's got probably the best receiving core? One of the better.
Going whole triple option.
Mm-hmm. This receiving core is nutty. So I don't know.
Let's see if Gino can get him the ball now.
Yeah, Gino's got to get JSN, Lockett, and DK.
I really like the center pickup from Michigan, because he was a guy that I feel like didn't allow many QB pressures, didn't really looked effective at Michigan for a couple years.
He didn't have a good pro day.
Was a Remington award finalist a couple years. So
he won it back to back, didn't he?
Back to back.
So.
I don't know. He's got short arms, they say. That's his knock. That's
I think he's going to be a guy that could walk into the starting spot and potentially be there for a few years.
Isn't the Seahawks? Don't they need help on the O-line?
Oh no! They invested their resources last year with.
They have a good O-line.
It's not bad. Charles Cross was not bad.
They got Cross. He's all right.
They've been definitely investing it ever since Russell. W's
across the board.
100%
for the Seahawks.
Los Angeles Rams. Their next team here.
They're fucked.
They didn't. They traded a bunch of their picks. They traded their first to the Lions this year. Their first pick was Steve Avila from the offensive guard from TCU, who was really solid. Tested really well. It's a team that
Avila.
I thought Sean McVay wasn't going to come back coaching this team. I thought that was the rumor after last season, but it's a team that looks destined for a rebuild after investing all their assets into a championship team. So it'll be interesting to see how this roster shakes out.
They just drafted the GOAT, Stetson Bennett, in the 4th round here. So,
he might just start.
He's going to be... he might just continue his reign of terror.
Tomlinson was drafted later in the draft, your guy.
He's
like LaDainian Tomlinson's his uncle.
Is he?
Yeah.
That's dope.
Fuck, what's the other team? The 49ers, right? 49ers, Seahawks, Rams, in Arizona. Where the hell are they at? San Fran. There they are. This is another team that picked super
Brown,
late.
Jake Moody.
They did get the GOAT, Jake Moody.
So they're going to win the Super Bowl. And they drafted D. Winters from TCU. That dude had a pick 6 in the Orange Bowl, or the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl.
This is a team that really didn't need much help, obviously.
Ronnie Bell actually did get drafted.
Oh, they got Ronnie. Jalen Graham, he's from Detroit.
Yeah, I was going to say, I heard his name before, too. Just a team that really you're just going to see deep into the playoffs next year, just with their offensive defensive line. Yeah. Really just a bunch of depth guys, for Kyle Shanahan.
That's exactly what they did.
So
Jake Moody, obviously.
And Jake Moody's going to be the kicker.
That's a lot of resources.
I think he's the highest drafted kicker ever in the NFL.
No, there was a dude, the dude that was in the 2nd round from Florida State that one year.
Oh, Aguayo or whatever his name was.
Roberto. He was trash in the league.
He was garbage. I remember that guy. Let's go with the Eagles next, man. This team was in the Super Bowl. A lot of people think they won the draft.
They also are probably like a close second behind the. They might be one.
Getting potentially the best. Interior
Keely
prospect
Ringo
this class.
too.
People think Carter could be top 3, probably
This
the
might be
best player in
W.
this class.
And I mean,
so,
who'd they get undrafted free agent, dude? Or no, they just traded for DeAndre Swift.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So they get all the Georgia Bulldogs.
They made out like bandits.
They love Georgia.
I do too, guys.
I mean, getting Nolan Smith at that pick was very good value.
That is a home run of a first round right there.
I think getting Kelly Ringo in the 4th was a steal.
Absolutely, and Sidney Brown from Illinois too. I mean, he was a highly rated safety. I mean, PFF loved him.
You know, PFF's got all the scoop, but
they do.
I mean, Philly. I mean, Howie Roseman. I mean, really just proven like he's probably top 3 GM in this league. I mean, he really stomped his foot and really implanted a very just talented roster with Philly these past couple years, and a team that looks destined to go probably back to the Super Bowl next year.
Yeah, the Howie Roseman slurping has been on fucking full effect since the draft. Yeah. Washington Commanders, this is a team, I was pretty much scratching my head over their picks, but Emmanuel Forbes is a good first round pick here. Mm-hmm. I just thought that they were,
they got KJ Henry in the 5th. That dude was like a top 5 prospect in his high school class.
I thought that they were quarterback bound for sure, but guess
this
not.
is a black draft.
Yeah.
Emmanuel Forbes had the most picks in the nation, I thought, last year, one of them. So, I mean, really just a dog at Mississippi State. I mean, it's just a team that you really just scratch your head sometimes.
Chris Rodriguez.
The Washington Wizards and the Washington Commanders just shake their hands simultaneously, but
the franchise is just doomed.
But I'm glad they're giving Sam Howell a shot at least next year.
They sim the draft, Ryan.
Sam Howell was a guy that was
they sim user pick.
They just simmed user pick.
Oh my God. New York Giants. Man, I feel like Jalen Hyatt. That's a nice pick there.
John Michael Schmitz was a really good offensive lineman.
Deontay Banks from Maryland as well, first round corner too.
Mm-hmm.
They got a lot of good pieces.
Hyatt was a guy that I personally wanted for the Lions.
And I mean, the Giants a team that just came off a playoff appearance too, so they're just kind of looking to retool here.
And Deontay Banks, I mean, one of the most athletic corners in the draft. I mean, I feel like that's really what stands out about him as a player, just how physical he is. I mean, coming from Maryland. And a program that's been able to put out a few draft prospects these past couple of years. So
I remember when we Lions had picked and we were going through everything before obviously this pick. I was hoping that Deontay Banks would slide to the 2nd round for the Lions pickup since they completely neglected corner.
Yeah, still have neglected corner.
Yeah,
maybe they still got things up their sleeve. They ain't over yet.
Potentially. That's true. They did get him, but I mean, yeah.
They got
Dallas Cowboys here, man.
The first couple picks are Michigan men.
The Dallas
Wolverines and Deuce Vaughn.
The Dallas Wolverines.
Yeah,
I guess Deuce Vaughn's dad is like the head of college scouting for the Cowboys, so that's interesting. I mean, a little bit of nepotism.
Jerry Jones just saw the gun charge and he said, "Come on down to Dallas. We don't care."
Hey, it's open carry there, baby.
It's open carry.
It's open carry there. So I mean. Mozzie's still a great player and a guy that...
He can carry his Glockiana around with him.
A player that's definitely leaped up draft boards. I mean, potentially...
Yeah, I didn't think he'd go first round, but shout out him.
Schoon was a guy that people were talking about, like, potentially going here, like, in the 2nd or 3rd round, but it was very interesting to see what he's
I can't believe he got drafted in the 2nd round.
Yeah, I didn't think he's 3rd or 4th.
I never thought he was that good at Michigan. I always was like, this guy's the backup.
They got Deuce Vaughn.
Deuce Vaughn is 5'2".
5'2".
Yeah, so short.
I could play running back.
NFC South, Carolina Panthers, obviously number 1 overall pick here.
They had a decent draft. I mean, did they draft Noah Sewell? Who drafted Noah Sewell?
Not them.
Never mind.
Noah Sewell. They pretty much picked like
Noah Sewell fell to like the 6th round. That guy was like one time like a first round lock, and now it's crazy what a year does.
Mingo was a big receiver pickup for them too, man.
A guy with a really high upside. I mean, from Ole Miss. Really, what this class was about is just solidifying their face of their franchise potentially with Bryce Young. People concerned about the size. I mean, we see what he could do in like crucial situations. He's just got the instincts. He's got everything you need out of a potential franchise quarterback. I mean, in a team that has a lot of picks these next coming years with a new coach, so. A team that potentially has a bright future here.
He was the surefire number 1 pick from the start. Nobody was really refuting that.
Yeah. Not too. Yeah.
We'll go to the Atlanta Falcons here, who kind of. I mean, I think you correctly predicted this one. Bijan to the Falcons.
Here. I said they like their flashy pickups. And I mean, this is like their 3rd, 4th year in a row. They just like it. So I mean, they're gonna roll out Desmond Ridder next year. I mean, potentially a team that's quarterback hungry the next year after that. with Drake May and potentially Caleb Williams on the board there. So
Yeah.
But I think Zach Harrison falling out of Ohio State was a guy.
I want to say Clark Phillips is a massive steal in the 4th round. That guy's
Yeah.
like a surefire starter in the league for years to come. I mean, he's really good in coverage.
100%. I'm just really concerned.
DeMarco Hellams is terrible. He's never
I
gonna
feel like
play.
this franchise just doesn't have like much direction. I feel like even if you got Bijan, I feel like their O-line is still subpar.
Yeah.
I feel like just their defense is.
I think they're
lacking in some
building
areas.
something
I
on
feel like,
defense.
Yeah,
I like their defense.
They're
I mean,
definitely building something on defense for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like just them as a franchise. I mean, I feel like they just need to make like better moves. I mean, I feel like this is a good pick, and I feel like Bijan is a very good player. But I'm saying like in terms of like what the franchise needed, I was just surprised.
I feel like they're not in the position to be.
I correctly predicted it because I don't know. I felt like it made sense just based off what they.
I hear you.
I feel like they're just not in the position as a franchise to be doing what they're doing right now, spending on these picks.
These are like win now.
This capital, picks. This is win now picks. They're spending all this valuable draft capital on.
I mean, I like the Drake London pickup. I like the Kyle Pitts pickup. Like, I'm just saying, like they need to fully unlock those guys. Though they need to address the quarterback situation here. So
they're wanting the Drake May sweepstakes, man, or the Caleb Love or Williams sweepstakes. I like Isaiah Foskey here for the Saints and Brian Bryce.
A.T. Perry was a guy that people were calling for the Lions in the later rounds when I was scrolling on Twitter. God.
And Jake Hayner from Fresno State.
Bryce was a guy that potentially probably didn't have his best year last year at Clemson, but a guy that a lot of people are still high on just as an athlete, just as a guy you could play on outside. You could potentially move outside. I mean, just a guy that has a lot of versatility.
I like
in a team that potentially could be a playoff team next year with the weapons. If they could,
definitely going to be a playoff
if Michael
team.
Thomas can stay healthy and all their weapons, but
exactly.
I feel like Keandre Miller was a little bit of an overlooked pick too. I mean,
that's a nice pick in the 3rd round.
I mean, in the playoff game, I mean, he balled out. I mean, like in the plays that he played, he did get hurt in that game, but I mean. It's interesting with Kamara and Jamal, and then with Miller. I mean, I think that's why people were really questioning the pick. I don't think people were really questioning the player because, I mean, I just think perspective matters.
I think he could have gone in the 2nd round.
You never have too much running back depth.
I think he was being overlooked in the
one of
like
I feel like the running back class this year was just 2 guys and just a massive like dip off. I feel like this year, but
yeah, for sure. I feel like that. I think that ends the NFC South. We'll move over to the NFC North now.
Oh God.
Oh shit, there they are. Probably the team that I'd say probably won the NFC North, at least the 1st round here. The Jordan Addison to the Vikings.
I can't think of a better complimentary receiver to draft with Justin Jefferson.
3-letter schools.
I mean, this is a team that potentially was moving up for like a quarterback in some instances. So I mean, I feel like it's a team that could be transitioning from Kirk Cousins in these next couple of years, really reframing their roster. But, I mean, they were a team that really won a lot of close games last year. So, I mean, let's see how that swings this year.
Hey, Jordan Addison says, let's get paid. And that's what he's about to do.
He said, let's get paid. That was so funny.
He did say that. So, I mean, shoot, I think like you said, him and
Jettis
might be a
don't
nasty
worry, Jordan.
combo.
You already got paid.
You already got paid. Exactly.
This was another pick here. Moving on to obviously the rival.
Look at Jade Reed.
The Green Bay Packers here, Lucas Van Ness in the 1st round. I mean, a lot of people were criticizing
that guy went to Sexton.
A lot of people were criticizing his father. Did you see the clip?
Yeah, with the ass slap? That shit was funny.
I mean, it's a player that, really just had a breakout season with Iowa. Just a guy that flew up draft boards and was potentially there for a plethora of teams in this middle to late 1st. So It's a team that really looks like, looking at these past couple drafts, are really committed to building their defense and surrounding them eventually with the weapons that Jordan Love needs. With picking up his option today.
Yeah, I mean the weapons that Sean Clifford needs. They just drafted the new Aaron Rodgers in this draft.
I like some of these weapons they drafted. Luke Musgrave.
I was gonna say they drafted 2. They got Tucker Kraft.
Yeah, I like
Luke Musgrave.
I mean, I like Luke Musgrave. I like Jaden Reed. I like some of these picks that they got here. I think this is definitely something to build upon. And I mean, Tucker Kraft from South Dakota State.
I mean, every source you could name. I mean, they knew that Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, they just needed a mutual party.
Lou Nichols.
They really needed to evaluate what their franchise was after Aaron Rodgers. So it's good to see that they're really moving forward with Jordan Love and giving him a shot. So
it's good to see. Chicago Bears.
A team that was catching a lot of flack, I feel like, was the Bears.
They drafted exactly what they
drafting
needed.
Darnell Wright. I feel like Darnell Wright was definitely a high riser. I was surprised to see him the first tackle taken. To me, but I don't know what your guys' opinions are on that.
Yeah, that was kind of a shock. I feel like
I think Skoronski.
Paris Johnson.
Wasn't he off the board by then? Didn't Johnson go 6?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say Johnson. Yeah, my bad. So Wright.
I don't know. I didn't know Wright was gonna go this high. I guess the Bears are very high on
Skoronski and then.
But I like some of these picks, like Noah Sewell in the 5th round. That's great value. Roshan Johnson at 4 from Texas too. And I mean, yeah, Pickens from South Carolina. I think
Tyreek Stevenson. I mean,
they filled some of their positions of need. They got a couple D tackles, got an offensive tackle too. I mean, they desperately needed help.
They're building the line, so I mean, I feel like they're really laying down their foundation.
Definitely, I like this draft. It's a solid. I mean, it's not a sexy draft, but it's
and they got DJ Moore in that trade, so I mean, they still got
Claypool,
things to be excited about. And I feel like just them as a whole, getting all these draft picks and stuff. I mean, really formalizing their depth. I really think trading back and stuff potentially could help them in the long run. So.
Yeah.
I feel like we got to close it off with the Detroit Lions here, man. This is our
the most controversial draft.
And,
I mean,
a lot of Kirk Herbstreit said it was a W, but I don't know if
I don't trust Kirk.
Herbie,
his bitch ass.
See, I don't know how to feel about this because this is not at all what I was expecting.
Exactly.
They're all good. I'm just saying, like, I feel like their first 4 or 5 picks, they're all really good football players. I feel like just really what the concern with Lions fans, like, at least to me, were just maybe the value that they got. But I'm saying, like, how I feel like that's very a subjective point because, I mean, how can these Twitter heads really gauge where these guys are going to go and how much
I
these teams really like
I thought the positions of need were defensive end, linebacker, and corner. And two of those needs got completely not addressed here, in my estimation.
Brian Branch is a guy that could,
he
play
cannot play corner.
Yes, he can.
This guy's a safety.
I don't know, man. I just feel like they kind of broke the golden rule of drafting.
And you drafted a running back in the first round.
Exactly. And I mean, it's tight end that high, too.
I think what really stands out to me about, like, picking up Gibbs, it's Brad Holmes is just not afraid to get his guys. I mean, that's really what I really took away this class. And I feel like this class more than ever is the one where you, like Jack said, you have to trust Brad Holmes' evaluation on these guys. I feel like Brad Holmes really laid the groundwork these past couple drafts, like at least on their offensive and defensive line.
And I mean,
and like just formalizing the whole team. So
I like Jack Campbell at middle linebacker. I think the Lions
the guy that won the linebacker of the year award in college.
He's great in coverage. I think this is really what the Lions needed at linebacker.
In an Iowa offensive player being drafted
in
the second
tight
round.
End. I mean, Iowa.
Who would have thought?
Iowa. I think they're known for getting I think their tight ends are pretty good in the league. Yeah. So I
saw like
think he'll work out pretty well.
I saw a clip where he dragged like 5 defenders like in the bowl game, and I was like, a guy like that should not be able to move like that and be able to do that. So I mean, I feel like the reason why they drafted him over the guy from Notre Dame was just really his athletic ability. And I mean, I was surprised to see them draft a tight end this early. I thought Schoon was going to be on the Lions.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. Like 3rd round. Like I guess he went second round too, but.
That
we were really hoping Joey Porter would fall to like this pick for sure. I mean, maybe they could have addressed that need, but I mean, I thought the original plan for this draft, bearing like the Seahawks obviously drafting Witherspoon, I thought the first pick was going to be, if Witherspoon there, they were going to select Witherspoon. If not, then they did that trade back scenario with this Gibbs thing. But I think they can use Gibbs in a lot of different ways, and I think that's what intrigues me and really what has been growing on over me these past couple of days.
I agree. I think that's kind of what's been propelling him. Obviously propelled him to the 12th pick is his ability out of the backfield to receive.
When they get J-Mo back week 7, there's going to be a lot of speed in the lineup. I mean, Gibbs is probably the fastest running back in this draft class. I mean, just straight line speed. So it's really interesting. I think Brian Branch was the best value pick, I'd say.
Yeah. I think
the Hendon Hooker was a little divided, but I mean, it was a team that needed a backup quarterback. I mean, they had Teddy Bridgewater. They gave him an offer on the line, but Hooker fell to them at this pick, so we'll see how that plays out. I mean, 25 years old, so
yeah, he's a little bit old.
Yeah, I mean that first pick, I mean that scares me for
sure.
But I think
they draft the receiver in the 7th round too.
I mean, I think the J-Mo suspension really changed the way Brad Holmes attacked this draft because I mean, getting a pass catcher like that in the 1st round, I mean. I think it's definitely a reach. No, don't get me wrong, but I mean, it could be fruitful down the line. I just really am scared drafting a running back of that. I mean, at that position. I mean, in today's league, but
I wouldn't really say it's like the most high risk gamble. Like I really just view it like they really just bought in on him, and supposedly they thought teams were really bought in on him a few picks after. So I mean, if you really like a player that much, you got to go get him. I mean,
they could have got Christian.
You could have gotten a guy that hurts people, a big guy that hurts people at 6. At 6,
you could have got exactly. So,
but you traded back. But I mean, it is what it is. I'm not the GM for a reason. So
let's just see how it plays out.
We just got to. The jury's out on it now.
I think it could be. I think he's gonna be a dynamic weapon out of the backfield. Something the Lions haven't really ever had, like a dynamic pass catcher out of the backfield.
Like if you wanted to really put a grade on it. Maybe like a B plus. I mean, maybe B minus.
It's like a B minus.
I'd give it a B for sure.
Give it a B.
Like I mean, you got solid football players in there, but like it's really just hard to gauge value.
I think this is a win now draft. I think that's really what this comes down to.
It's really just building on what they've solidified over.
It looks like a win now draft for sure. This doesn't look like a team that's building for anything. It looks like
they're going to the playoffs and they're gonna win.
And they were probably surprised that Branch was there at that pick. I mean, I thought there was mocks with him in the first. I mean,
yeah. So that's good value for a guy like that.
I mean, they got 2 safeties.
They got the secondary. They got the secondary next year to compete, hopefully.
So. Really like a corner 1, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, they have a bunch of 2.
It was Jeffy.
Yeah. It was Hefe.
No, it was not Hefe.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. There's more moves that can be made.
I would have liked Christian Gonzalez at 12 to be completely honest.
Or even, I mean, Witherspoon was off the board by then.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Christian Gonzalez slipped for some reason. It's just hard to gauge. Jury's still out. We'll have to see how these guys perform at Ford Field.
Exactly. We'll definitely be bringing you that content.
Because they're going to win the division this next year, and we're going to be talking our shit on this program. Yeah. So, I mean, that was our draft synopsis, and we hope you guys have a good day, man. Stay tuned.
Yes, sir. We'll be back next week,
Yes, sir.
Even maybe